The only way to deal with an unfree world is to become so absolutely free that your very existence is an act of rebellion. In the midst of winter, I found there was, within me, an invincible summer. Real generosity toward the future lies in giving all to the present. Don't walk in front of me. I may not follow. Don't walk behind me. I may not lead. Walk beside me. Just be my friend. You will never be happy if you continue to search for what happiness consists of. You will never live if you are looking for the meaning of life. But what is happiness except the simple harmony between a man and the life he leads? Freedom is nothing but a chance to be better. The evil that is in the world almost always comes of ignorance, and good intentions may do as much harm as malevolence if they lack understanding. Fiction is the lie through which we tell the truth. The job of the artist is always to deepen the mystery. To create is to live twice. After all manner of professors have done their best for us, the place we are to get knowledge is in books. The true university of these days is a collection of books. Man is the only creature who refuses to be what he is. Nobody realizes that some people expend tremendous energy merely to be normal. Beauty is unbearable, drives us to despair, offering us for a minute the glimpse of an eternity that we should like to stretch out over the whole of time. In order to understand the world, one has to turn away from it on occasion. The struggle itself towards the heights is enough to fill a man's heart. You cannot acquire experience by making experiments. You cannot create experience. You must undergo it. Knowing whether life is worth living is the beginning of wisdom. Every revolutionary ends up either by becoming an oppressor or a heretic. To ensure the adoration of a theorem for any length of time, faith is not enough. A police force is needed as well. A free press can be good or bad, but most certainly, without freedom, a press will never be anything but bad. Martyrs, my friend, have to choose between being forgotten, mocked, or used. As for being understood, never. The evil in the world comes almost always from ignorance, and goodwill can cause as much damage as ill will if it is not enlightened. People are more often good than bad, though in fact that is not the question. But they are more or less ignorant, and this is what one calls vice or virtue. The most appalling vice being the ignorance that thinks it knows everything and which consequently authorizes itself to kill. Autumn is a second spring when every leaf is a flower. There is no love of life without despair about life. Truth, like light, blinds. Falsehood, on the contrary, is a beautiful twilight that enhances every object. What is a rebel? A man who says no. The only certainty is that nothing is certain. Blessed are the hearts that can bend, they shall never be broken. Do not wait for the last judgment. It takes place every day. Every artist preserves deep within him a single source from which derives what makes him an artist. The purpose of a writer is to keep civilization from destroying itself. Integrity has no need of rules. The truth is that everyone is bored and devotes himself to cultivating habits. Art and revolt will die only with the last man. You have to struggle to be happy, and that is a struggle you can't share. Beauty is composed of an eternal, invariable element whose quantity is extremely difficult to determine and a relative element which might be, either by turns or all at once, period, fashion, moral, passion. Without this second element, which is like the amusing, enticing, appetizing icing on the divine cake, the first element would likely be beyond our powers of assimilation. Those who lack the courage will always find a philosophy to justify it. Man cannot do without beauty, and this is what our era pretends to want to disregard. It steels itself to attain the absolute and authority. It wants to transfigure the world before having exhausted it, to set it to rights before having understood it. Whatever it may say, our era is deserting this world. There is scarcely any passion without struggle. It is normal to give away a little of one's life in order not to lose it all. Ah, mon cher, for anyone who is alone, without God and without a master, the weight of days is dreadful. One leader, one people, signifies one master and millions of slaves. The nobility of our calling will always be rooted in two commitments difficult to observe: refusal to lie about what one knows and resistance to oppression. The realization that life is absurd and cannot be an end, but only a beginning. This is a truth nearly all great minds have taken as their starting point. It is not this discovery that is interesting, but the consequences and rules of action drawn from it. By definition, a government has no conscience. Sometimes it has a policy, but nothing more. It is better to burn than to disappear. There is no destiny that cannot be surmounted by scorn. Men must live and create. Live to the point of tears. Man is mortal. That may be, but let us die resisting. And if our lot is complete annihilation, let us not behave in such a way that it seems justice. The irrational, the human nostalgia, and the absurd that is born of the human predicament, these are the three muses who will always sing to me. Everything considered, a determined soul will always manage. Great ideas, it has been said, come into the world as gently as doves. Perhaps then, if we listen attentively, we shall hear the rustle of wings, the gentle stirring of life and hope. What matters is not to know the world but to change it. Living above the fog line enables you to see things that others can't see. In order to exist, man must rebel. Freedom is not a gift received from a state or leader, but a possession to be won every day by the effort of each and all. The absurd is born of the confrontation between the human call and the unreasonable silence of the world. A taste for truth at any cost is a passion which spares nothing.